Hi, everyone. I have with me today Mr. Lynn Mueller, the CEO and president of SHARC Energy in Vancouver, British Columbia. Really pleased to have him here. SHARC is a clean energy company. It exchanges heat from sewage wastewater to reduce energy, to save on natural gas consumption, to save on fresh water use, and the big one, to save on greenhouse gases. So welcome, Lynn.
Thank you so much, Diane. It's a pleasure to be in your company.
And let's tell some stories.
Sounds great. Well, my story is pretty short, so.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start with, tell me about your solution. So in the context of, I want to know what's happening at the Falls Creek Energy Center and Lake Louise. I was excited to hear about that. So what's the technology? What's this actually doing? And why is it benefiting people?
Great. Well, thanks for having me. And the technology is really so simple. We recover the heat that you throw away every day. So every day when you get up and, have your shower, hopefully, and wash your hair and do the dishes and the laundry and all that stuff, you throw away all that hot water. You probably never thought about it in that context, but usually it's about a tank of hot water a day per house. Mm-hmm. And you paid to heat that. Then you just throw it away. Well, the value proposition we bring, Diane, is that we can get that back for 20 cents on the dollar. So for a dollar's worth of energy, we can recover it for 20 cents. So I think the connotation of sewage has really held the industry back for a number of years, mm-hmm. in that people, once they do their business, they want to get it as far away and as fast as they can, so
yeah.
But they don't realize just how much energy. So in the world, there's 938 trillion liters of wastewater a year, which is 200 trillion gallons, which is I'm not sure what it'd fill, but it's a lot of water.
Yeah.
And in that energy, in that water is a lot of energy, because it's all been heated about 30 degrees Fahrenheit just from wastewater. And about half of the energy used in the world ends up going down the drain.
Half of the energy used in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So tell me about the big picture impact of that. If your technology really blew up, like.
So that's a good thing about our technology. Yeah. It doesn't blow up.
I shouldn't have said those words. Not the right metaphor, but for sure. Go on.
But if you looked at a little city, for instance, like New York City, mm-hmm. they have 1.4 billion gallons of wastewater a day in New York City, all been heated about 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Mm-hmm. Well, not only is that enough energy to melt 11,000 times the mass of the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
If they just recovered 1 degree back from that water flow, the net cash flow is $3 million an hour.
Wow. Yeah.
And the carbon savings are enormous.
Tell me about the carbon savings, because we're on a burning planet. I want to hear what you think about that.
So, it's very important to me too. Mm-hmm. I had a birthday on Saturday, and I was able to spend time with my 3 beautiful granddaughters, and they care. They watch the news. It would be depressing for a child to see the world going to hell in a handbasket. So mm-hmm. everything we do reduces the use of natural gas or fossil fuels to produce hot water. So we recover that energy very efficiently, but it offsets the use of a gas boiler or gas hot water tank to make your hot water.
Nice. Yeah. Now, what's happening at, I promised I'd ask about Lake Louise. So, because I love Lake Louise, what's happening on a concrete, practical level? Like this restaurant inn hotel is using it in their laundry, and they're reducing their.
Yeah, it's really neat. A good friend of mine, Tim Tyndall, used to be the manager of the Pan Pacific, took over a chain of hotels called Atlantic. And one of them was in Lake Louise. And I grew up on a farm not too far from there, a few hundred miles away from there. But it really kind of struck me as this old couple of 100-room hotel, and they were on propane. There's no natural gas there. So we thought we'd do a bunch of work, the hotel rooms with showers and stuff, but it was so old that we really couldn't access those pipes.
Mhm.
We put one of our units in called a Piranha, which is a small hot water heat pump, in the laundry room. And just from 3 commercial laundry wash machines, we've saved them about $30,000 a year on propane. And I can't remember exactly, it's almost 100 tons of carbon a year
Nice.
that those propane burners would have done. So it made great financial sense. And, they're Lake Louise, you love it because they got Marine Lake there and stuff. It is so beautiful. They're in the most pristine part of the world, and they wanted to do something that was good.
Nice. Now, big picture wise, if we can just use our imagination and think 5, 10, 20 years out, your company and SHARC Energy and whatever manifestation of it is at the time, how has this impacted Canada and the world? This is your company's future story.
Well, we can access the largest resource in the world of recyclable energy. So you hear about energy storage and all those great things. Well, in the sewage flow every day, there's just so much energy stored. And we're just in Toronto this week to pick up an award for the cleanest, greenest project in Canada from a group called Clean 50.
Yeah.
And it's for a project right here in Vancouver with the Musqueam Capital Corporation, just across the street from the UBC golf course. And it's 22.5 acres of development that the SHARC has a central loop in, and we share all the energy in the building. And then whatever energy we don't make up just from what's in the buildings, we use the sewer for. So it's a carbon-free 22-acre, 2 million square foot development. It's amazing.
Wow.
And it went in cost effective, and thank God the Musqueam had the vision to do it.
Nice.
Because they wanted to be in tune with nature and they wanted to build for the future. I couldn't say most developers, but there's some developers that just the bottom dollar is the key. It's got to be the cheapest, got to be this. But thank goodness homeowners now and people that are living in these buildings demand a higher level, and they want to be in a green building. One of the first buildings we ever did is a building called 735 in North Vancouver. And it was a 55-unit development for a real visionary named Kevin Mahan from Madeira Developments. And when we didn't even know what the hell we were doing, putting in sewage heat recovery, and he took a chance on us. But because his energy usage was so low in that building, got to add 5 more suites. So he made out like a bandit from one.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that I asked you about the future and you were talking about the present moment, but in context of this is going to be more and more of these. This is what I'm assuming, right? That you see these types of projects becoming the norm.
Yeah, and that building, Diane, won 13 international energy awards, launched us to the future where we get calls now from all over the world. This week, we had 3 different groups in from one from California, one from Seattle, and one from New York City, just to look at the sites. So
very nice stuff.
The future is pretty good, but one of the things we had to do to future-proof our product is build it really, really robustly.
Yeah.
So our equipment will last for 50 years.
Yeah, I like that.
When you put it in, for years, equipment would arrive. It was barely strong enough to move into the building, let alone operate for 50 years. So we went the other way. We wanted to be around for 50 years.
Nice.
We've developed a very bulletproof, robust system, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger. So, we get calls from like Barcelona, Spain, where they want 40 megawatts of recovered energy. When I started 13 years ago in the old workshop, I wouldn't have dreamed of anything close to that.
So tell me about the old workshop. When was your start? When was your moment? Like, when did it all that aha moment where I want to do this?
Well, that's a pretty good story too, Diane, because I had plans to retire,
Yeah.
which I was very bad at. And then I also forgot to tell my wonderful wife that I was going to be around the house a little more. So 3 days into retirement, she suggested I either find a new place to live or something to do with myself. And I'd rounded up the utility bills, so you can imagine what a pain in the ass I was. But
Yeah.
I'd got the utility bills, and I knew that I was throwing away $100 a month because I had two daughters. It seemed like they were showering all the time and doing laundry. And being a frugal old German, I thought, I got to find a way to get that $100 back. And then I thought, gosh, if everybody in the neighborhood's throwing away $100,
Yeah.
why can't I get that back? And then I started to work on it, and I thought, how tough can this be to figure that out? And it turned out it was pretty tough, and took about 5 years to really get it to work.
I love that moment of I'm wasting $100 a month. I don't want to be doing this.
It just shows you how cheap I am too.
I love it. I'd also like to know about the people you work with and how you feel about them. What do they mean to you?
Well, they're a bunch of ungrateful loads that I don't really care, but no, it couldn't be any farther from the truth. That we have people that started day one and are still here. And one thing about me is I'm getting pretty old, so I want a bunch of young people that can take this to the next level. And lucky enough to hire some really brilliant young people. And now we have, I don't know, got 20 or 30 people work for us, but we also sell through a series of representatives. So we affect the lives of a number of people every day with the SHARC product. But the future is, the future is in pretty good hands. These young people are so smart. I used to be kind of concerned about where the world was going, but we won an innovation contest where we got to have an office in the Microsoft Innovation Hub in Mountain View, California, full of these brilliant kids that are going to save the world. I feel pretty good about it.
Good.
I just want to be part of it. When I was in there, these little zit-faced geniuses came to me and said, "Listen, old man, the hardware is nothing. What you've got to harness is the data flow." So we not only build really robust equipment, but it's also the smartest equipment in the world. So we're really adaptable. In downtown Vancouver, they're putting in a system, Diane, that will heat 22 million square feet of apartments with waste heat leaving downtown Vancouver.
Nice.
And it doesn't freeze up the sewer treatment plant or anything like that. As a matter of fact, you can barely measure the temperature difference in the flow to heat 22 million square feet of apartments.
Love it. Now, I noticed that you won a Canadian Lifetime Achievement Award. And when I ask people about these kind of awards, they often feel very humble and all that kind of stuff. But I want to know, how did that feel like to you to win that? I think that was pretty amazing. What was that like for you personally?
Yeah, pretty good. But, I'm not much for personal awards, because if I did everything here to be different, I would have earned it. But it felt good for the people that work here. And, there was two people really happy when my formal education ended, the teachers and myself. And, I wasn't a star student or anything, but in that Lifetime Achievement Club, there's 6 other people that are PhDs and then a crazy old farmer from Alberta. So I feel a little bit of justification that maybe it wasn't so damn stupid after all.
Awesome. Good for you. I've also appreciated your commitment to the younger generation, it sounds like, and your mentorship. So I find that there's this kind of doomerism out there that the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and for good reason. I mean, all kinds of things going on, climate related especially. So what's your kind of pitch to the younger generation who are faced with such an uncertain future? How do you help them out when they come to you?
Well, I personally mentor probably a dozen students a year or something. The workplace has changed, and now we don't interview employees. They interview us. So my mission as an employer now is to make the job attractive. And people come in. Some days I come in the office here, it's full. Some days there's nobody here. You have to be flexible. But every one of those students and young people that come through here care about what they do. But it has to fit their lifestyle. So we've just had to be flexible with our work schedules and all that. So we can provide that stimulation for those young people. And I've stopped expecting people to stay with me for life because they have lots of things they want to do. And usually it's a process. They're moving on. So we try to maximize their value here for the time they're here. And then I encourage them to move on and do better things. Like, I haven't had many jobs in my life, but I've had lots of different things I tried. So I think, my place in this world now is to provide a little bit of a kick in the ass for them down the road. And they, my mission here is to have everybody leave SHARC better than they came.
Nice.
And in the meantime, do some really good work for us.
And could you talk for a minute about the concept of collaboration and some of your, you've obviously had partners and vendors, and we met each other through our connection with Foresight, which is an ecosystem accelerator builder. Like that concept of, which I'm quite interested in, is, setting up a series, like who are the people that you work with? And is there somebody that stands out, or beyond your staff, but the bigger picture of your stakeholders, investors and vendors? And
yeah, I think, there's so many, it's hard to really pick one, but we work with a lot of utilities and a lot of collaborators along the way. And there's a lady in New York City named Sylvia Crum who works with just a huge company, Con Edison, Consolidated Edison. But she really bought into the personal commitment of the staff of SHARC and myself that, these crazy people got an idea, but they're so committed to it. And then she became committed, and we're looking at doing, like, there has to be 90,000 buildings retrofitted in New York City by 2030 or whatever it is. And so she wants SHARC to be a big part of those. So, people like that, but we're simple people here at SHARC, and our word is our bond. And, around here, our word means something to us, and loyalty. And, when we started, we didn't know much about the business really, other than we know how heat moves, but we committed to providing the very best equipment in the world and do that. And, I'm a pretty simple guy, and I believe that turn the other cheek kind of thing. Our only competitor in the world is taking the route where he just trashes the bejesus out of us all the time. But I never take the opportunity to reciprocate that. I actually say they're a great company, and we're just honored to be mentioned by them. And that's our philosophy here, is that we're here to help people that want it, and if they don't, not much we can do. But
nice, yeah.
I have those 3 beautiful granddaughters, and I'm, just turned 69 years old. I just had a quadruple bypass. I had a stroke a year ago. And my happiest days are with them and at work here. I love what I do.
I love that. Thank you. And one of my goals is to tell, it's called Hopecast, stories of hope and positivity. And I think you really embody that. So how important do you think telling the good stories and the stories of hope is for the big picture?
Yeah, I think it is critically important. I think the news has disintegrated and gone into an entertainment media. They're not providing the news, they're providing the biggest story they can to scare you. And then you always have to worry about what's coming next. Well, we're a great story. We take something you throw away, we give it back to you for 20 cents on the dollar, and you have it just for a few minutes, you throw it away again, and we get it back for you. Like, we're like that great old hound dog that would chase the ball all day. We're just sort of that company that is there to help you. And when you look at a guy like Chris Baber with City of Vancouver, he was the first guy that ever designed a sewage heat recovery system. People, including myself back in 2009, before the Olympics, thought he was nuts. And he stuck through. Like, he is really the father of sewage heat recovery. I don't know him well, but I do know him, but I admire him so much because once I started to look at it, I thought, this crazy bastard's onto something. And I thought, I can make a living at this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we almost can. So it's, it takes people that have some vision, and I've done 500 inventions or something. So I'm used to failure. Believe me,
Yeah.
I don't get upset if something doesn't work. But this has been so satisfying to go in there and have an idea, see it come through, and know it's the best in the world. Like, how often do you get a chance to be the best in the world at anything?
That's awesome. It is very inspiring. Very inspiring. Thank you. Energy. For our listeners, it's sharkenergy.com. We'll make sure we have the link in the show. But is there anything coming up, something you're excited about, anything you want to tell our audience here about?
Yeah, just, it's hard not to be excited here every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some just unbelievable projects, in one in Ohio where they're replacing a bunch of coal-fired electrical plants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And SHARC is a big part of that replacement, because we only use a quarter of the energy a normal system would use. So things like that. But I used to live on the Canadian side of Lake Erie, and this project's it's called on the Toledo side. And it just feels good. Like, those lakes used to be dead, and now they're coming back to life, and the people around them are doing the right thing. And got to go meet the Congress lady from Toledo. Her name is Marcy Kaptur. She's been in Congress for 44 years consecutively. And she's as excited to go back in there every session as she was 44 years ago. Like, she's an absolute inspiration. And kind of like me, I just, have no real good reason to come into work every day, other than I absolutely love it, and I'm on a mission to do something. So
Nice. Thank you very much. I'm going to wrap up now just by thanking Lynn Mueller from SHARC Energy. And we are hope casting our stories of change and innovation around the world. Thank you very much for participating.